All right, I'm super excited to talk to you today, Ahmed. I'm super excited to have the audience listen into some of the things that you're doing with AKG and just the amazing impact that you are making and will be making of a more larger scale, hopefully moving forward. So give us a little bit of a context about kind of who you are, what's your background, and what is AKG, and what made you want to start this platform, this initiative?
Thank you, Elena. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. So actually, I have over 12 years experience as an entrepreneur. I'm not being employed before. So all what I'm doing is building ventures, building startups, fails and success. So go forth, back forth. So that's my life. That's my lifestyle. That's all thing I know. Actually, I have background with business administration and information technology. Actually, I'm not completing on the information technology. I studied for 3 years, then shifting to business administration. So I have both backgrounds. I'm a co-founder of many tech startups here in the field in different area and different expertise. So one of them is to encourage founders to finding their or matching their co-founders, because it's one of the challenges here, or let's say for each startup, my other startups, it's totally different field. It's automobiles. It's for inspection of cars before buy them. We help the sellers and the buyer to inspect their vehicles or provide them with reports about their vehicle conditions. What's jumpy to the autism specialist field or autism field, actually, it's a pain point. And that's why I believe in every entrepreneur must follow his pain point or his real problem to solve it. So I have kids in my family diagnosed as kids with autism before 4 years and a half. At that time, I have no idea about autism. What's autism? What's the challenge that kids with autism they are facing? And so we go through this experience for 4 years of struggle. And actually, I believe all people diagnosed with autism and their families, they have same point, because autism does not only affect kids with autism, it's also affect people surround them, because it's a real problem.
Yeah.
And even globally, they have struggles in the services provided for them. They have high cost of treatment, disengagement of parents about their kids' conditions, about their kids' progress. Even the tools provided for kids with autism to have proper education or lifestyle, it's high expense.
And it's also like access to certain resources, like you said, because in different parts of the world, and I'm completely ignorant on this topic, so I don't know much about it except just kind of the general knowledge. But, you know, it'll be interesting to also hear in terms of, you know, in Saudi Arabia, where you are, is this something that it's talked about, other resources of it? Is there support available? Like, I'd be curious to hear about that as well.
Yeah, actually, it's not only the problem is not only in Saudi Arabia, it's a global problem, actually.
Yep.
According to the World Health Organization, the number of kids with autism globally, it's increasing day after day. For example, in USA, it's 1 to each 65 kids.
Wow.
So it's jumped into 2018, it was 1 to each 165. So now it's jumped to 1 to each 65 kids. With this, let's say, massive growth of number of kids with autism, it's a huge challenge. We don't, even globally, centers are for kids with autism are, let's say, they don't have enough space for kids with autism, even in the schools. So it's a complicated problem. So from this point, I take, let's say, it's my life mission. If I say it as an entrepreneur, this problem, I am, let's say, is directly in this problem affected. So why don't I use my experience or my knowledge as an entrepreneur to find a proper solution that can serve kids with autism? Actually, the goal is not only just help kids with autism to improve their skills. Actually, it's to have a lifestyle, better lifestyle for kids with autism and also for their parents, for specialists. So when we think, what can we do? So we start off tackling the problem, finding the root problem, the real root of this problem. It's very complicated, to be honest with you. It's not, especially for founder. I'm not from the field. I'm not autism specialist. I don't have any background in autism, so I need to have my, let's say, is gathering my teams, gathering autism specialists surrounding. So when I pitch them the idea that we want to do something in tech, let's say it's a mobile app or platform that anyone can have access to it, especially in the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, AKG is a mobile game education designed to fit kids with autism, to help them to improve their skills, and also to provide parents and autism specialists with a progress report, and autism specialists, they can design a therapeutic solution using our platform. So we start from this point. If we can help, let's say as a triangle, kids, parents, specialists. If we can find a point that we can connect all three stakeholders with one platform, with easy access, and with, let's say, better price. So they, for example, one of the games, physical games, you find it on the field for kids with autism in any store. It will cost you between $10 to $13. So we can, and it's improve single skills. What we do is we provide them with the mobile app that we have variety of skills, over 26 skills, with this cost.
What kind of skills are we talking about? Sorry to interrupt. What kind of skills are we talking about?
It's a variety of skills. It says it's a visual sequence. It says it's improve kids to communicate, to identify objects, to have cognitive skills, and go on. So we start from visual sequence and cognitive skills, and once we develop more games, we will develop more skills. It's just the start. So this is the AKG, and this is the problem that we are tackling. It's not only here in the Saudi Arabia or GCC country. It's when I speak about autism, I say it's the new global warming, because no one speaks about it. When they speak about it, they say disabilities in general. It's autism is totally different, and it's included as a disabilities, but it needs more, let's say, kids with autism, they need more interest in their emotion, feeling, in their how they study, how they, let's say, it's a variety of skills different than, let's say, Down syndrome, disabilities, learning disabilities. It's a complicated problem, and one of the challenge that we face, that you will not find two kids with autism they have same issue, the same level of skills. It's totally different. So that's why we are using in our technology algorithms or assessment that we have that help us to identify single, let's say, identify each kid's problem or level of skills. So our platform directly will adapt it to these kids. For example, if you use Elena use the application, Ahmed used it, totally different. You will have certain skills, and I will have certain skills. So this is one of the challenge that we face it, not from the beginning. Actually, I think it's a long journey for us to provide tools like this. But I take it as a life mission, and as a social entrepreneur, actually, we need to measure not only the progress, we need to measure the real added value, or the real impact that we provide for kids with autism and for the parents. So it's a journey. It's not the trip. It's not short trip. So I hope one day we can make their life better. And this is the goal of entrepreneur. That's the lesson I take from my past experience. If you don't do something great in your life, actually, let me say it like this. I'm now 35 years old. I don't want to be at 16 years that all what I are doing is making money, making great startups without making any great impact for humanity, for people that will remember me with it. Once you passed in this life, you will, all what you are doing, they will forget about it. You need to have your fingerprint or fingerprints in this life. So
Yeah.
I hope one day I can do something great for kids with autism and for all their parents and the ecosystem of kids with autism.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just the impact that you're going for is I mean, it's an important mission to be on. And having grown up in Russia, where anytime, and I mean, maybe things have changed now, but to be honest, when I go to visit, I go there almost every year, and every time I go to visit, it seems like things are changing, but very slowly, in terms of support for people that have different challenges, that kids that have different challenges. I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, not to say something bad about Russia, but the reality is that even access for handicapped individuals on university campuses is like almost non-existent in some universities in Russia. Like, just as simple as that, providing, if you're in a wheelchair, there's a very slim chance that you're gonna be able to go to a physical location of a university in many campuses in Russia. So, and that's a problem. So to give you an idea, like, that's kind of where we are when it comes to like challenges that different people have when it comes to disability, whether it's physical or mental, etc. And it's such a taboo thing in Russia. And I agree, it's a global problem, and we have autism in Russia as well. But again, in countries like Russia, it's not as talked about. And it's like, it's this like almost they kind of, again, it's changing, but they're almost like shame these sort of things. It's like and then having grown up in the US and seeing it's just like a whole different world, and it's all about creating solutions like that you're talking about. It's such a world of a difference. And I mean, you and I both know, also being in the Middle East, there's a lot of topics that are taboo, from different disabilities to mental health, and it's definitely shifting. But I like it that the impact that you're going after is not only are you kind of taking a global problem and looking at how it affects you locally and how you can solve it locally, but also by talking about it, you're almost removing the stigma of some of these things, because reality is, in our parts of the world, it's still a stigma to talk about these things. So yeah, so it's which, I mean, yeah, it's interesting.
Actually, as you mentioned, it's a stigma. It's come, if you want to tackle the real problem, it's come from person. It's come from cultures. It's a global culture, actually, that if you have kids with autism or kids with disabilities, you don't want to speak even about him in your community. So this is one of the real challenge that as a parent or as a family or as a community, when we speak about this problem, it's not related to, let's say, one geographic. It's related to all the human being. It's a human being. So people, they must understand that kids with autism or kids with disabilities, they are not different from us. They are more intelligent than us. They have rights in their life. They have needs in their life. So it's not a shame to talk about your kids. It's not a shame to talk about, let's say, his needs or his, let's say, challenges that he faces. So that if we want to solve this problem, we need to solve it from point A. It's a human being, let's say, as a culture. Actually, here in Saudi Arabia, it was in the past as a stigma that you have kids with autism or anything. But in these days, it's with this transformation of Vision 2030, they are speak loudly about it. They have even in the vision goals, one of their goals, it's, I don't know how to speak in English, it's جودة الحياة, like, let's say, have a well-being life. And they are focusing about disabilities kids, even kids with autism. They have KPIs. As a country, they must do it. And even the private sector, they must do it. So now with all these transformations, I think people, they must change their way of thinking. that if you have kids with disabilities or kids with autism or Down syndrome kids, it's not different than any other kids. In my opinion, they are more intelligent than us. Actually, I have, let's say, kind of example. I speak about it when I speak with anyone that they don't know about kids with autism. So when I was in, let's say, elementary school, I was bad in math. So is that the problem was in me or my teachers or my cultures, let's say, or my community? I don't know. But when I came to university, all my grade was in math. So what's the problem? Is it on me or is it on the let's say education system? Actually, kids with autism, they are let's say I say it's the same. They need someone to take them to the light. That's it. That's our job. They are not different from us. They are even more intelligent than us. They just need someone to show them the light. That's it. That's our job.
To have like a system and a structure that works for them, essentially.
Yeah. So that's the complicated problem of autism. Actually, now we are in Vision 2030. They let's say focused on autism and focused on Down syndrome. Before it was all disabilities kids. Now they are speaking. They have autism problem with this number. It's a real problem. Let's solve it together as a private sector or as entrepreneur or government or other education system. So I think the whole globe must unify to solve this problem, because it's not only when we leave it like this in the future, it's to reflect on us as any other problems.
You know what I find interesting is that you've kind of jumped on this because of your own kind of personal pain point, but I love it. And I think it's important for people to understand that, you know, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's more of just like you're on a mission. In your case, you're on a mission to kind of help, and, you know, kids with autism and just in the community surrounded that, to just have a better quality of life, have skills, etc., that will grow within specific skills. But I love it that you said that you don't have experience in autism, but that's why you're like, you just put together a team to say, you know, have a specialist who is a specialist in autism. And I know your co-founder has the experience in that. And that's important to understand, because I think when we think about entrepreneurship, we think that we need to be, you know, entrepreneurship is somebody who needs to know all these different things. And it's not like that. It's about having a vision and a mission and a problem that you're looking to solve, and then almost putting people together who are interested to contribute to the mission and then making it happen. And I think that's so impactful, because a lot of people shy away from entrepreneurship because they think they don't have the skill set. And it's not about that. It's about having that vision, mission, and then bringing the people that can add to your skill set, even if you don't have a specialty in that. But in your case, it's because you're so personal to this challenge that you're like, no, somebody has to solve it. Why not me? So I think that's amazing. Can I just ask you, from an entrepreneurship perspective, like, having done different things in the past, in different ventures and industries, what was maybe the hardest part for you in this particular venture? Was there something that really challenged you, you know, in this particular venture that you're doing right now with AKG?
Yeah, actually, there is a lot of challenge, but the main challenge, actually, there is challenge to pitch to investors, because it's a niche market. You blah blah blah. I will not speak about this. I will speak about, let's say, we are dealing with kids with autism. We are dealing with not only having money or great revenue. It's not only that KPIs we have it. We deal with kids with autism. We deal with the brains. So the main challenge is to have a success in this algorithm that we are building, or to tackle our mission to, let's say, have clips with a problem. So what we, let's say, have as a culture, that we in love with a problem, not in solution, because solution, we can pivot the solution. Say after while of time, if these solutions are not working properly, we need to pivot. We need to have a change in our solution to solve this problem. So to, let's say, to avoid this challenge, we said that let's in love with the problem. We know the problem will not change. It will be in the future more complicated, but solution can change. We can change solution. So that's what one of the challenge. Other challenge is to, let's say, is to educate some of, let's say, other people. They are not in, they don't have kids with autism. They don't have, let's say, any interest in these problems. But for example, schools, kids with autism, definitely they will go to elementary school, they will go to high school, go on. Part of our mission is to educate or to raise awareness about autism, because many parents, they have kids with autism, but they don't know that their kids is diagnosed with autism. That takes us to the block number one when we speak about stigma. That, okay, he's great, he have a hard communication once he grows, or once he be old,
he'll grow out of it or something.
Yeah. So this is one of the real problem. It's not, as I mentioned, it's a mission. It's not only have a great product. It's have a great product with a great awareness, with a great ecosystem. So that's AKG. That's the mission that we driven by. And as an entrepreneur, when we speak about investment, so I think, or I believe, in these days, with the trend of social entrepreneur, I think it will be easy to raise fund than in the past, especially with these great accelerators that come into the market, or venture capitals that they have, especially after pandemic, that, okay, we will invest in startup, but at least they have a social impact. So I hope this will solve our problems.
Yeah. No, I definitely see a big shift towards social enterprises, impact investors. I mean, we've met in an accelerator that focuses on kind of social enterprises, and I think it's changing, and I think people are just starting to see that, that there are local solutions to global problems, and impact investors see it, and I think that's where it's at, because again, it is a global problem, like in this case, but then solutions need to be local. They cannot be, we cannot apply what works in the States, to Saudi Arabia. Maybe it will work, maybe not, but not necessarily, right? So there's a lot of cultural pieces in place. It's a whole different world. So I think, even if there are solutions available out there, they don't always work for particular populations. So I think that people are also recognizing that. And I think, just generally speaking, with technology, we're now able to make these sort of things accessible, affordable, and to educate where, and maybe to, also if people, do feel this stigma to talk about these things, or, whatever they feel about these topics, but they can at least learn at their own comfort, at their own homes, using an application. So maybe that will also encourage, versus, I don't know, maybe back in the day where you have to go to face-to-face forums, and you have to really face this fear of talking about these things. And I think it just comes down to fear, because parents, it's uncomfortable to admit that maybe your kid is having some kind of challenge, right? So, and it's just uncomfortable, and it's a fear thing. And I think with technology and the things that you guys are doing with AKG, we can almost make it more comfortable for them to start educating themselves, because they have access to it via a platform that they can use at home. You know what I mean? So so I think it's just about making it affordable, accessible, and also not, I think some of the families that really miss out on some of these opportunities are those from low income brackets. And I think that's where technology, we cannot ignore a whole population of people who can't afford certain access to professionals or specialists within these fields. So again, I think having an application that is able to provide access to those families is equally as important.
Yeah, I actually, as I mentioned, it's a high expense, let's say, therapy sessions, and and this is one of the major problem that parents they can afford or afford the price for these sessions. And other thing is long weekly hours. They in the past they need to spend, let's say, for each session 2 to 3 hours in a day. And if you are a working parent, so you have 8 hours or 10 hours in the work, then if you are we are focusing more on the moms, so because they are more, let's say, they are more, let's say, connecting with their kids than the fathers. This is actually a fact. It's not so. Yeah. So
hey, you might be right. I don't know. Maybe some people are gonna be like, no, I'm more connected with my kids. I don't know. But yeah, generally speaking, you're probably right.
Yeah. Actually, it's a fact. The moms knows more about their kids. They are more connecting to their kids because it's. I think it's they let's say they're born with this thing inside them. That's the difference between
course, yeah.
two parties. Yeah. So I believe, especially after pandemic, the whole globe is transformation to technology. So this is one of the great things that they can have it in their home. You will have your, let's say, great education, a chance that you are sitting in your home in your comfort zone. You don't need to, let's say, go outside or you spend more hours in any other places. We try to make it happen while their kids in home, they are beside their kids. It will help them even if they go to the centers, that they have a chance to educate, to, let's say, basic things that will help them to go through their schools or centers or etc. Whatever the parents decide to go with their kids. So yeah, I totally agree with you that I hope, as I said, that we can do a great impact in their lives, because once you have a mission, it's totally different that if you're running as only your goal is to have a great money, to have a great exit strategy. Oh, I agree that we need to think about it. It's a business strategy.
Yes.
But this is not the only aspects. We need to think about our stakeholders, how we connect with them, how we listen to them, because we do this for them as a mission for us. We don't, let's say, we have a different things from charity or NGOs, because we are running for, we want to be sustainable, we want to grow it, we have a great goals, we have a great missions. It's driven by money by the end. But the most important thing that we don't want to driven only by money. We want to driven by social impact besides our missions, to scale it globally, starting from MENA region to the globe. I believe each kids with autism, they deserve a better chance. And this, I know it's as an entrepreneur, someone will say, well, this is ego, but this is the real entrepreneur when you're thinking, I want kids with autism in Chile have great access from our solution. Kids with autism in USA, kids with autism in Nepal, kids with autism in Saudi Arabia. This is our mission, and I believe that we will reach to these goals, starting from our region to scale it up to every kids with autism in the whole universe.
You know, when you mentioned about the money aspect, and I think what the misconception about entrepreneurship and money is like, it's not like, it's at the end of the day, in order for you to make that impact, you need that money. So it's not like the money goes in to a business, to, I don't know, to buy something for yourself. It's goes back into the business so that you can develop better solutions, you know, embed better technology, hire people that can really drive it forward. So that's what it's all about. It's about, you need money to grow the business, and technology, we know, I mean, we're both in tech, and like, it's very expensive. And in order for us to impact the people we want to impact, we need to be able to, you know, so we have to be driven partially by money, because you need money to be able to reach, you know, it doesn't go into our pockets. And I think this is what a lot of people misunderstand. They think like entrepreneurship is this fancy thing, and like, it's not. We're, most of the time, we're struggling for money. We are, because whatever money we're making, a lot of times we're putting it back into the business, because we have a mission. Like you said, it's a mission to impact. And if you take money into your pocket every time you make something from a project or a client, you're never going to grow. It doesn't match. So I think, yes, so I think that at the end of the day, money is important. There needs to be some kind of business strategy and business model that generates revenue, so that you're able to put it back into the business and make that impact that you're talking about. So, but yeah, but what sticks is the mission, like the impact. That's the motivation to keep going when you don't have money and when you're not bringing in money. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it's a good point. So I'm curious, and you've mentioned this already, in terms of like your kind of, if you had a magic wand, I would imagine you'd make it so that this application is available to everybody. But what do you guys see in the next 12 months? Like, what are you looking to accomplish with AKG? Does it stand for anything, by the way, AKG?
Yeah, actually, when we thought about these names, I'm bad in thinking about venture names. So we have a mission. So we have a brainstorming. AKG, it's Autism Kids Games. So that's the AKG app, actually. So that's the stand for AKG. Actually, we want to accomplish, we have a testing phases. So we want to make sure that our algorithms is working well, our systems has connecting with kids with autism, user experience. As a tech product, you need to test your MVP before you launch it to, and we want to reach our product market fit. So that's our goals for next 12 months. And for sure, one of our things that we want to achieve it is to raise fund for investment. So we are focusing now in Saudi Arabia, and we hope after 12 months that we can scale it to other GCC countries for testing phase. Because as I mentioned, the challenge is that it's different cultures, even if we are Arabic, but kids in, let's say, even if you have a different culture from your neighbor.
Yeah.
Because families, it's a family culture. So kids with autism affected directly with these cultures. So we hope in this next 12 months, our KPIs is to accomplish our MVP testing for early access, to make sure that our algorithms are working well, our designs, our user experience are working well with parents or autism specialists, so we can scale it to other phase. And one thing you mentioned about entrepreneurship, it's trendy these days. All people think, I want to be entrepreneur. It's easy journey. Okay, it's an applications. Let's design it with. If he's not a developer, he can outsource it. And I'm against outsourcing. If you don't build your stuff with yourself, with your hands, find a co-founder. That's because codes or it's assets for tech company. Yeah. So they believe, or they thinking it's easy. Let's have a great UI, great application. That's the end of story. They forget about, you need to have a great operation team. You need to have a connecting
so many things. There's so many things. Right?
Yeah, and the most important thing about entrepreneurship is, if you think about money, you will lose your startups. Think about your client, your stakeholders, your problem. Money will come definitely at the end. You will not be rich with after 1 year of having, let's say, an application. So this is one of the wrong thought or myth about entrepreneurship, or especially as tech field.
Yeah, it's a long-term game. It's a long-term game. Like that's why if you're not committed to the mission, It's not going to happen for you. It just doesn't work that way unless you're like, or yeah, unless you just have the, I don't know, you're have lots of capital to put into it and hire the right, but in majority of it, like real entrepreneurship cases where you kind of build everything from scratch on your own, you know, and just kind of learning as you go. It's yeah, it has to be a long-term game. Otherwise it just doesn't work. Very, very rarely does it work otherwise. Maybe it does.
Yeah. And one other thing from entrepreneur perspective to other entrepreneur, that competition is not mean that you crush your competitors.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that when I read news or read, let's say, this magazine of entrepreneur, or even LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, so when you go to the other startups pages or whatever entrepreneur pages, they are thinking, I need to crush my competitors. If you crush your competitors, you will crush your market.
Mm-hmm.
You are completing.
Good. It's good.
Yeah. Actually, it's build the ecosystem. You complete each other one way or other. If you think like I have 4 to 5 competitors, one of them having, let's say, his marketing campaign, it's good for you because he will educate your stakeholders about his product. So once you come after him, it's the road is clear for you. So it's a healthy thing.
Yeah.
So that's one of myth that you need to crush your competitors. You need to, your job as an entrepreneur is to think only about your stakeholders. What's the added value for my stakeholders? This is your competitive advantage if you have other competitors. That's the reason why you must think about your stakeholders. I agree that you need to know about your competitor's strategy, etc. But your thought is not only about your competitors. Actually, your main thinking is your stakeholder. Be focused on your stakeholders. So this is one of the things that I want as a message to other entrepreneurs. It's this, let's say, as it's not healthy. It's not good for your startups or for your ventures as the cultures. You need to complete each other one way or other. You will have a competitors that some days he will survive. Let's say if the market is going down, he will create the market with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, where can people follow you? Where's the best platform? I know we were just chatting before we started recording. It's kind of like, you know, that you're looking to grow the brand a bit more, but if, you know, people wanted to kind of get in touch, what would be the best place? LinkedIn, or where would you recommend?
Yeah, actually, as we speak before we are recording, I'm bad in, before COVID-19, I'm bad to present in online because all my focus was building my ventures, physicals, meetings, etc. So after COVID-19, I think I need to show up more online. So, yeah, so mainly it will be LinkedIn.
Okay.
My other, let's say, social media account, it's kind of for family, for private things. So
yeah, okay. So LinkedIn, I'll share the LinkedIn link. Awesome. Well, listen, thanks for making the time and coming to chat about it. And I really admire what you're doing, and I look forward to like just being, you know, staying connected. And I know I'm sure you guys are going to do amazing things. And of course, from our side, if there's any way we can support as best, and like we'd be more than happy. I think your mission is amazing, and you're going to make an impact for sure. So good job. Well done for that.
Thank you, Elena, for having me. And it's a pleasure to be here with you, talking about AKG and talking actually about autism in general, because this is the big umbrella, kids with autism. We need to serve them. And I hope one day we will have other conversations that we reach our impact goals. Actually, if you ask me on personal sides, I would say if we can help single kids with autism to have a better life, to have a great opportunities to access education as a personal matter, a personal side, it will be a success for me. But when we speak about our startups, I hope we can serve or have a great impact in all kids with autism lives, not only in the MENA region, but scale it to globally.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're definitely going to continue it about a year from now or something and see where we are. It'll be great. Absolutely.
Inshallah. Thank you for your time.